Okay, does everybody see the first slide?
Yes.
Did I do it right? Okay. So,
Sounds good. Looks good.
okay, so a quick rundown about my program. Um, you know, welding at Lewis and Clark Career Center. So I'm Mr. Besselman. I was born and raised St. Charles. Graduated St. Charles High 2005 and attended Lewis and Clark welding program. That's the only education I've had, besides recently some UCM teacher certification courses. So from Lewis and Clark, I went right to work. I was a 19-year-old homeowner. I really put my best effort in and made the most out of the opportunity. Got an education for free, came out of school with no debt. Notable places of employment for me, Craftsman Industries, 2006 to 2011. That's here in St. Charles. I'll get into what we did there. Seneca Tank in Des Moines, Iowa, was working on fuel trucks, internal repairs on gasoline haulers. And then back to Craftsman from 2015 to 2018, where I was the night shift supervisor, all production through paint shop, welding, manufacturing. It all went through me. And then started at Lewis and Clark Career Center 2018. So this was the Mark Corporation in Bridgeton, Missouri. It was a lot of heavy steel fabrication, a lot of flux core. Everything was watertight, cabinet style part washers. They were pretty neat. This is inside of Craftsman Industries. It's a local manufacturing facility. They manufacture 53-foot double expandable trailers, a lot of displays for Anheuser-Busch, a lot of stuff for concerts and fairs and that sort of thing. I mostly did aluminum TIG welding. I was really, really spoiled to be able to work with clean metal, lightweight, very easy to work with. This was in Pella, Iowa, of fuel trailers that we made. Everything was custom made in-house. It was really neat to see a different kind of manufacturing process. And that's kind of what we use that. I use this knowledge, in my shop when we build our fire pits. We do class projects and we build about 20 fire pits at a time. And we go through working on a fire pit. You've got to do, if I teach you how to do one job, you do that to all 20. I don't need one finished, I need 20 finished. So it kind of gives some, it's kind of relatable to the real world manufacturing companies of what we can do here at Lewis and Clark. This is the fuel truck, and there might be 7 or 8 compartments on this, and there's compartment heads right here. You can kind of see them. And then there's an opening up top. You can get inside and pressure test the weld seams, and then have to go in and remove the bad welds and repair it, and then test it again. So this was very, very dangerous work. You're welding inside of basically a giant bomb, and if the safety precautions that are in place aren't followed, there could be serious injury or death. So that's why for safety for me is definitely number one in my shop. I have the highest safety risk of any program at Lewis and Clark, and that's basically the first month of school is intro to welding and safety training. So here's our shop. This is from the front of the shop, looking back towards the garage door. I have 18 welding booths. We have Lincoln stick TIG welders, and then we have Miller MIG welders that are all, you can see up on top. And it goes all the way down here and wraps around. So this is just the view. The other picture was down here. This is the view from our burn table. These are track torches, and back to the safety thing. This blue tank here and this gold tank here is oxygen and acetylene torch setup, this is what really makes this program as dangerous as it can be. The potential for injury or possibly death, is very high if this tool isn't used properly. That's a big focus of mine, is to train students on, what could happen, what's possible when you're dealing with this kind of equipment. Another view from the shop, you can see more of the welding booths. We have our CNC plasma table here. We have our nice bandsaw there. I'm in my third year at Lewis and Clark, and been able to upgrade a lot of the equipment and get a Miller 255 pulse welder, a Bobcat 260 generator welder that we can go anywhere that we want. We don't need electricity. We've got it on board. Dynasty 400 TIG welder is, a lot of companies in the industry are using this equipment right here, and we have it at Lewis and Clark. And I think that's really important to train students on what they could possibly be using when they do go get a job. Another purchase new piece of equipment new this year is this 65-ton Piranha iron worker. I think most every place that I've worked has had this piece of equipment, so I was really thought it was cool to be able to bring it in and use it in my shop, and have my students be able to use it as well. So real quick, I touched on safety. Safety is huge for me. So that goes with your daily dress. The dress code is pretty strict. Thick cotton crew neck t-shirts, no V-necks, denim, blue jeans. Clothing's got to be properly fit. You can't have a loose t-shirt hanging out and using a grinder, and that grinder could suck up your t-shirt, and all of a sudden you're cut up and you're in a bad situation real quick. So I definitely train students of what is possible, what could happen, and what the equipment that they're using is capable of. So leather work boots with steel toes, your tennis shoes, mesh tennis shoes, it could get a spark through there, you get a burn. So a lot of this stuff is just safety equipment. So also with the welding shop, we've got a lot of safety risks. What we kind of need a lot of tools for this program. So steel-toed boots, safety glasses, welding gloves, welding pliers, welding jacket, tape measure, chipping hammer, wire brush, ball peen hammer, combo square, 10-inch vice grip. The list goes on pretty far. I ran up an Amazon cart a while back, and it was about $350. So there's always that to think of when you think about coming into a class like this. You need to be well prepared. You need to have a good welding hood and gloves. I tell my students all the time, it needs to be clean. If you can't see, you can't weld. It's hand-eye coordination with a lot of heat, a lot of sparks, and the potential to catch yourself on fire at any moment. But you get used to it. So my class I grade in 3 categories. So 20% of your overall grade for the year will be academics. We have an online platform called Cengage MindTap, Welding Principles and Applications. I give a quiz and a test every 3 weeks, and I provide study guides. So far this year, this has been student-led learning. They've done it all by themselves at home. In a short week, if I want to squeeze that test in, I'll give class time to study and that sort of thing. But you'll know the next one, so you've got plenty of time to study. So 50% of your overall grade will be shop. So we do flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead welding all in the first year. So 7018 stick welding, hardwire MIG, and a 6010 or 6011 stick electrode. So 3 processes that I focus on for the first year: flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead. And so that's how you're graded week to week. If I test you on Monday, you get a low shop grade, you've got the whole week to improve it. And if you pass the competency, you get 100% for the week. One thing that's kind of unique to Lewis and Clark is the employability grading system. So this is all the things that an employer is looking for in an employee. I can teach you to be the best welder ever, the best one around to ever come out of Lewis and Clark, but if you don't latch onto these employability skills, you're not going to keep a job for very long. If you don't show up on time, if you don't show up at all, you're not going to keep your job. If you're not, engaged, you're not focused on what you're doing, the task at hand, if you're caught talking, side conversations and having conversations with others, you're not engaged. Professionalism. If you are using foul language in the shop, things that could offend people, these are things that aren't going to look good to an employer. So we grade on employability. 30% of your overall grade for the year will be employability, and we cover it in depth. So if you've got any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll try to respond to it. Also, my email is up on the screen now, and you can call me, leave me a voicemail. I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. Just kind of explain the situation, explain who you are, and we'll go from there.
Hey, Mark, is that a 2-year program?
2-year program, first and second years. Let's see, there are certain requirements. If you're brought in as a first-year student, you need to be successful with those benchmark welds, that 70-18, the hardwire MIG, and that 60-10, be able to weld in flat, horizontal, vertical up, and overhead. That's what we expect for the first year. You're kind of judged against everybody else at a point, but it's not for everybody. Welding is kind of tough to pick up for some, and I have a lot of students that where, I would kind of be concerned that, this might not work out. And then all of a sudden they rattle off, 3 or 4 competencies in a matter of a couple of weeks. And where they were behind, they're actually ahead of their peers at that point, so it's set up for a 2-year program, but there are certain requirements for a first-year student to return for their second year.
Good. Are there any questions for Mark? If there's no questions for Mark, I'm going to go into my presentation on the machine shop. Now, you don't have to stay, but it'd probably be good for you to stay. One, because if Mark's program is full, you might want an alternate program. Okay? How many guys can you take in your program, Mark?
I take 18 in the morning and 18 in the afternoon, and there's usually 6 or 7, maybe 8 people that picked welding for their number 1 spot that weren't able to get into the program.
Right. So if you're not able to get into Mark's program, you can look at alternate programs. The thing is, you want to be in Lewis and Clark, whether you're in my program or Mark's program. You want to be at Lewis and Clark because you're going to come out of here with a skill. Okay, you're going to come out of here and you're going to be able to go straight to work. If you want to go on to college, well, that's fine. You could go on to college and make more money, but you will leave Lewis and Clark with a skill. That's the neat thing about Lewis and Clark. And you know what? If you had to pay for Mark's program outside of Lewis and Clark, it'd probably run you about $10,000, $12,000. Don't you think, Mark?
Yep, absolutely. 18 to 20.
18 to 20. So you're getting it here pretty much for $350 in tooling. Okay. and mom and dad and other taxpayers in the county are paying for it. So it's a pretty good deal. But here, let me go into my portion here. Wait, let me back up here. Okay, where's the share screen? There's the share screen. Okay, I am the machine shop instructor, and we call it precision manufacturing. Are you seeing that correctly? Are you,
Yes.
we call it precision manufacturing technology. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. Excuse me. I'm Mr. Acosta. I'm a journeyman machinist. I have 31 years. I worked for Caterpillar Tractor over in Joliet, Illinois. I've been machining for 48 years. And that's the nice thing about Lewis and Clark is all the teachers came out of the industry. We didn't graduate from Rankin and now we're a teacher. Okay, we all came out of the industry and we can tell you what industry expects. Okay, we know the skills that industry wants out there. And that's what we're going to teach you. You ask, what is machining? Well, we take pieces of material like metal, plastic, or wood, and we make cool stuff, cool, useful stuff. Machinists make the world go round. Okay, Mark might be able to weld up a car chassis, but then he has to bring it over to the machinist, and we have to put the holes in and the tapped holes, and we have to do all the machining on it to make that car chassis work. Okay, so welding and machining, they go a lot together hand in hand. All right, but that's what we do as machinists. We just take a raw piece of metal and we're going to turn it into something that is useful, something that we want to use. Who could be a machinist? Anybody, any gender. We have female machinists. You know, we have guys, short guys, tall guys, it doesn't matter. Anybody could be a machinist, but, okay, there's a caveat here. I need you good at math. Okay, we're going to be playing with numbers all day. Okay, so you see that math I threw on the screen? That's the kind of math we're going to be playing with. All right, we're going to play with numbers all day. You're going to leave machining mentally tired, more than physically tired. You're going to leave mentally tired because you're using your brain all day. You're really taxing your brain, okay? But you know, if you came and took my class, in 1 year, you'll get 500 hours of class. So it's a 2-year course. So if you take both years, you're going to end up with 1,000 hours. If you went on to like a Rankin or a Lynn State and got more training, you could probably graduate coming out of there making $25 to $35 an hour. Okay? Now, again, you came through my class. If you took my class for 2 years, you're going to end up with 1,000 hours. Well, my training, when I went through my training in 4 years, I had 8,000 hours. Okay, so in 2 years, you're going to get 1,000 hours. Are you going to be a machinist? No, but you're pointed in the right direction. And you could come out, if you're an A+ student, you could go to State Tech free of charge. All you pay is room and board. State Tech will take you free of charge. You pay the room and board, you pay for your tools. So 2 years of college should run you about $6,000. And you could come out of college pretty much debt-free. Again, this is a 2-year program. The first year, we're going to run the conventional machines. Down here on the bottom, we have a conventional mill. We have a conventional engine lathe. These are, they're all run by hand, okay? The second year, we're going to do the CNC, the computer numerical control machining, okay? To get in my class, it's only $150. You need to purchase some tooling. We'll buy it through here and you pay for the tooling. My homework, I have none. 99% of the time, I don't have homework. The only time I give you homework is when you guys tick me off. I'll give you homework. If you come in and do your job, you'll do fine. When you guys want to just sit here and mess around, I'm going to give you homework, okay? So 99% of the time, you're not going to get any homework. I need you here. I need you making parts on the machine. Pretty much the daily supplies needed are pencil. I want your standard paper. A scientific calculator is a must. Jeans, just like Mark, I don't require you to have steel-toe boots. But if you are going to buy boots, buy steel-toe boots, because some of the manufacturers will require that. So if you're going to buy some boots, buy some steel-toe boots. Short sleeve shirts and hoodies. No hoodies allowed, no hoodies. Okay, so that's basically machining, okay? Any questions on that? We're trying to keep this nice and short and sweet. So right now we're yours to answer any questions you want. Anything?
Yeah, feel free. I think the chat's disabled, so.
Oh, is it? So just unmute yourself, or can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I have a question. For the welding, do we need to have all the tools and stuff for the first day?
No. Like I said, we've got about 2 weeks of safety training, a little bit of intro to welding, kind of get in a academic kind of groove. It's usually about 2 or 3 weeks after the start of school that we make it into the shop. So no, we'll have some time at the beginning of school to talk about the tool list and, recommendations on where to buy a welding hood and that sort of thing. So not right away, no.
If you have a student that isn't sure if they want to do machining or welding, can you talk a little bit about what kind of careers or what might be a differentiator there, maybe skill sets or interests?
Okay. Mr. Acosta, you want to take that?
Yeah, I will. Again, I need guys that are good at math. They need to be good at math. If you've seen that math stuff I threw up there, they need to be good at that. If they get into machining, what I push them to become is mechanical engineers. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a machinist, but I started as a machinist, and then I went into tooling design, and then I went into programming, and then I became the supervisor of the tool and die shop. And when I left Caterpillar, my last year there, I was the head of the training department. So really, once you become a machinist, the sky is the limit to where you could go. It really is. There's so many different directions. There's the tooling that is needed for machining. Well, it's nice if you're a machinist, you could sell that tooling. And that's a pretty lucrative job. And then another thing is the machines themselves. It's good if you know machining, you could get into machine sales. And some of these machines go for $2 million, $3 million. That's a very lucrative job. Okay, so there's so many different directions you could go in machining. Later in my life, I became supervisor of the tool and die shop because I knew how to run all the machines. So, really, the sky's the limit once you become a machinist.
Yeah. I would think for welding, the goal of my program is to get somebody ready so that they can get a job in local manufacturing. Companies that are close here in St. Charles County, WB Industries, National Cart, Craftsman Industries, Craftsman Trailer. There's several smaller fabrication shops around that hire our students. So local manufacturing right now, entry-level employees, someone with training from Lewis and Clark could expect to make anywhere from $16 to $18 an hour, and I think that would be a really good start. There are a few schools around where, like Missouri Welding Institute in Nevada, Missouri. There's American Welding Academy in Union, Missouri. You go to these type of schools and you get certifications. Eight to 10 certifications will get you your foot in the door about anywhere. And the money for these traveling jobs, it's just unreal. You've got kids that are 18, 19 years old that took, I think it's a 18-week course. You go down, it costs $16,000, and you go down and get your certifications. You can go out and make, $30 an hour flat rate, time and a half over 8, and double on Sunday. And these guys are working, 12-hour days. They're clearing $2,500 a week, going down and doing traveling welding. The range of welding is just huge. I always say no effort, no reward. You are guaranteed to get everything out of this that you put into it. That's what it's all about. I'm looking for students that are looking to be successful in life and need a little bit of a push in the right direction. So it's the money's out there, the opportunities are out there. It's a great time to become a welder or a machinist, but like Mr. Acosta said, anything at Lewis and Clark, in my opinion, is better than being at a regular high school. It was, English class 4 years in a row in high school. It wasn't for me. I didn't make the honor roll till I came to Lewis and Clark. So it's kind of funny, and I put the effort in, and I got a lot out. And that's my hope for everybody that not only comes to my class but comes through this school. We're pulling for everybody. So.
And Mark brings up a good point. This area right here is so rich in machining and welding. You don't even need to go into St. Louis. Everything here, St. Charles, St. Peter's, everything in this area, there are so many machining jobs right in this area. You don't even have to cross the river, and good companies. And I have probably 1/3 of my students are already working in the machining field part-time, and they're making $14 to $17 an hour while they're in high school. So this is a good area to be in for any of these jobs.
Yep. It beats McDonald's.
I have a question
Go for it.
You, Mr. Besselman. When does the school year start?
I haven't seen the new calendar, but typically the end of August. In St. Charles School District, Lewis and Clark follows the St. Charles School District calendar. So sometimes the Fort Zumwalts are on spring break, but we have school at Lewis and Clark, so you're expected to attend Lewis and Clark while you're on spring break. So you'll basically have a half day of breaks for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't released that yet, Alex. We won't even see that till probably March.
All right.
I have one other question.
Okay.
Is the welding course a 2-year thing, or can you just make it a 1-year as well?
It is typically a 2-year program. I will take a first-year student in welding who's a senior at their sending school and give them, if they're successful, give them the opportunity to come back post-secondary, which means after you graduate, say I don't know where you go to high school, say it's Zumwalt, you've graduated high school and you can come back for a second year of Lewis and Clark and finish up your welding certificate, probably AM class would be the best fit. And then after you go to welding in the morning, you would hopefully have a welding job after that where you could go to work
Mhm.
and finish.
Yeah,
up.
and that's the same with my shop. It's a 1 or a 2-year course. But even if you're a senior, you have to start at the beginning. You're going to start in the conventional machining. Just because the other seniors that have been here, as juniors, they're going to be in the computerized machining. Until you learn the conventional machining, you are not going to get into the computerized machining. Okay, so it could be a 1 or 2-year course.
Yeah. And if you do have to come back post-secondary, which means you've already graduated high school, but you want to finish up your certificate, I don't know who all might be a senior next year, you'll have to pay the tuition out of your own pocket. It's usually $5,000 to $6,000. And that rate will be locked in probably, February or March, so you'll know when registration comes around.
So I'm planning to train as an underwater welder, but I am a senior or going to be a senior. So what would I need to do to make that kind of efficient? Like, would you want me to finish that up, or should I just take the first 1 year and
I don't know. I would say for that, there's probably a lot more variables in that. But if you want to shoot me an email, feel free. And I had one student from Fort Zumwalt North that went to Seattle for dive school training, and I haven't heard from him. So that means that he's busy. He's working.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
That's it.
definitely shoot me an email. And I'd be happy to communicate with you that way on that one.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
Is precision manufacturing technology, is that different from machining or?
Yeah, no, actually, it's the machine shop, okay? But I'm going to teach you more than that. I'm going to teach you drafting, and I am going to teach you how to do processes, okay? Because everything that's made has a process to make it. And so I teach you how to do processes, and I'm going to teach you drafting. Now, we're not going to get real in-depth in drafting, okay? But I think if you could draw a blueprint, you'll have a lot easier time reading a blueprint.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So we'll just be in drafting a little bit. That's why we're covering the whole manufacturing gambit there.
Okay. Perfect.
Good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Nope. Well, if no other questions, thanks for coming. This was our first one.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
There